Hey everyone, good morning and welcome to Morning Tea with me, Tracy V. Allen. This morning I have with me Althea Bates. She is the Project Resiliency lady. She helps women to realize or empower women to realize their purpose and live in their greatness, right? For those of you who this is your first time catching Morning Tea, again, my name is Tracy V. Allen. I'm an impact strategist, writer, speaker, and educator. And Morning Tea is here to inspire you, motivate you, and educate you, and give you something, that fills your heart, your soul, and your mind first thing in the morning so that you can have a wonderful day. Out there, go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hi, everyone. I'm Althea Webber-Bates. I'm the CEO and founder of Project Resiliency Movement, which is a social movement for women, and especially for women of color. We focus on areas of self-care and wellness, holistic wellness and healing. And of course, we focus on really trying to bring opportunities and spaces, safe spaces for women to come together, to gather, to find that wellness and that healing, holistic healing. So we do a lot of activities, we do a lot of seminars and forums and workshops and conferences throughout the year to bring light to the need and support for mental health and wellness, and of course holistic healing for women, and especially for women of color. And of
Okay.
course, I run, in addition to that, Bates Consulting, which is a consulting service based around providing wellness, resiliency coaching, wellness coaching, and of course my other side of the expertise that I have, in terms of my prior experience, which is workforce development, youth development practices as well.
Oh, nice. That's a full gamut.
Yeah.
That is a full gamut of services. I think I'm missing something. Okay, so tell us about your journey to entrepreneurship, because everyone has a story of how they ended up here. We didn't just work, we weren't born entrepreneurs. We didn't come out of college, for most of us, and
No,
jump
no,
into
no.
entrepreneurship. What did you do before becoming an entrepreneur, and how did you get here?
Okay, so before I became an entrepreneur, I actually was in nonprofits for most of my life. So for about, maybe I would say probably about for almost close to 19 years, I've worked in a
Uh-huh.
ton of nonprofits. And so I've worked for several agencies, some large, some small, in the greater Hartford area, and mainly youth development focused nonprofits, as well as workforce development. So that's why my background is largely in workforce development and youth development. So I
Okay.
was my last role, my last two roles. I'll give you that word. So I worked for Capital Workforce Partners, and I was part of the staff that supported like some youth employment training. So we would put trainings together. I worked on RFPs, putting the contracts together for folks that were applying for through their agencies to be some youth employment sites. And
Mhm.
I would do technical assistance. So my role was to provide a technical assistance to the training that they would then train the young people with for the summer. So I
Oh,
helped
okay.
create the career competencies. So the same career competencies training that Capital Workforce Partners uses today, I was
Mhm.
part that helped to create that.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So how
And
has that
good.
translated over into you becoming an entrepreneur? Like, what was the pivoting point?
Right. So my last role in nonprofits, I was the director of workforce development and of course community programs for Billings Forge, which is a local nonprofit, like focused on having a social enterprise. And so I was responsible for the social enterprise aspect of our culinary training, working with the trainees, and of course
Mhm.
running our community-based programs such as a farmers market, etc. And
Okay.
so after the grant that I was working on kind of subsided, and there was a lot of applications for renewing of grants, and also for some new grants to sustain the position. And when that didn't fall through, the grants that they had planned on, they didn't actually get to sustain the position. I was in a
Mhm.
situation where I came into the office, and I thought I was coming in just to have a regular meeting, and it was a meeting to say, hey, we're not able to sustain your position. And for
Oh,
me,
wow.
it became an opportunity. I
Mhm.
felt in that point that it was my opportunity to then really, really launch into the deep what I had already started. Because I had
Mhm.
already started a year before launching Project Resiliency Movement, and for
Okay.
years I had been doing consulting work, but as a part time piece to my 9 to 5. And
Got you.
so for me, it was like, okay, this is your opportunity to really test this out and be a full-time entrepreneur. You can do,
Right.
because my client roster was getting bigger and my nonprofit was growing.
Hmm.
And so it was like, okay, how am I going to do all these things and still keep a 9 to 5? That was kind of the question that was brewing in the back of my head. So I was thinking about creating an exit strategy for a year out to exit anyway. But God
Hmm.
said, no, we're just going to exit you a year ahead.
Right, right.
Year before you planned.
Hmm.
So
Yeah.
that's basically how it started. I made a decision that I wasn't going to go back and find another 9 to 5 after I got laid off.
Okay. All right. That's cool. I mean, that's kind of how it happens, I think, for a lot of us, is that we have the side hustle and we're
Yeah,
like contemplating on whether or not we should stay in our side hustle and keep
right,
our job because the job is secure. Every
right,
2 weeks, that check is getting deposited into your account.
exactly. It's
And
real
the
comfy,
thought of possibly,
there's a way to pay the bills. You know that
exactly.
your family will be taken care of because you have a check come in.
Hmm.
You're sustainable. But
Yeah,
yeah,
right. And the thought of going from um, having a secure check coming into your account to going into entrepreneurship, wherein you don't know
you
what's
don't know.
happening from week to week.
There's so many unknowns.
Right. You don't know. There may be weeks, like I keep saying, that you have absolutely no clients coming in for
It's
whatever
called the dry
reason.
season. You might have that
Yeah.
dry season, so you
And
have
the
to
dry
focus
season,
on.
I think, scares
Yeah.
so many people away from entrepreneurship,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, it scared me
because,
away for a long time. There's so many people that kept saying, "Althea, you have so many skills. You should
mhm,
consult full
right.
time. Like,
Hmm.
you're doing it part time already. You should just go and do it full time." And I'm like, "So how? So in between when these checks are coming, and I send out the invoice and I'm waiting on payments. Where's the money going to come from? That's what I was thinking. So
Yep.
who's going to pay for my insurance for my kids? Like
Right,
laws
exactly,
and stuff.
exactly. And I mean, those are valid concerns that you should
Yeah.
have, especially when you have a family. When it's just you alone,
Mhm.
you have no kids, you don't have a husband or a wife or
Right.
whatever, it's easier to make that step because the only
Exactly.
person you have to be accountable to is
Right.
yourself.
Right.
But
And
when
and
you
if
do
and if
have
you
other people who are counting on you,
that's
you have
it.
to step back and be like, how is this really going to work? Because insurance is
Exactly.
important, you know?
Yeah.
Insurance is important and a paycheck is important.
Right. Exactly. So
Yes.
I decided I was kind of testing the waters and just kind of doing it part time for so many years, but it was getting to be to a point where the threshold was kind of being met where it's okay. After you really have to make a decision
Right.
because your it's like they're your business are growing, but they can't get to another level unless you make the decision to leap
Yeah.
and do
And
it.
I think a lot of people don't understand that. I believe in the door closing for another one to open.
Me
So
too.
one door
Yeah.
must completely close or run its course before another door opens. And you have to
Absolutely.
it's a fine line. It's a really thin space between
Mhm.
the opportunity and losing that opportunity.
Absolutely. And I felt like if I didn't take the leap, it's almost like God was presenting me the space and the opportunity. And if I didn't leap, then there'll be so many things that happened over the course of like last maybe almost a year and a half that I've been full time as an entrepreneur that I would have missed out on. There's so many
Right.
great that I would have missed out on.
Okay. And
To
then I
collaborate,
saw
to
that.
partner, everything. Yeah.
Yeah, late last year, you also got your doctorate, so
Yeah.
congratulations on
Thank you
that.
so much.
Yeah.
A
So,
lot of hard work, a lot of late nights.
I know, I can imagine. And if you had a job and you were still doing your side hustle
Yeah.
of entrepreneurship, it would have been even harder for you
Yeah,
to do that.
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah, so all
So,
that worked out for the good.
right.
For
Yeah.
all good
So,
reasons.
I know you do some stuff in the financial realm as well, like you teach
Yes.
women about financial health and
Hmm.
well-being. Tell us a little bit
Right.
about that.
Sure. So I'm a wealth coach. So one of the things that I do is I work with a company that we teach people how to save and invest in gold.
Oh,
And yeah, so gold
yeah, I
being
didn't
a
know that.
sustainable resource. Yep. So gold being a sustainable resource,
Mhm.
especially in this tumultuous time right now where the stock market is doing what it's doing and people don't necessarily have, their money might not be as sustainable in a banking system as they
Okay.
might have thought maybe a year ago.
Mhm.
Gold is a sustainable way that it doesn't lose its value. It only increases and elevates in value and appreciates in value rather.
Okay.
So I teach people how to use that resource to then actually sustain their wealth and also to build generational wealth and a legacy for themselves and their families.
Okay.
And of course, the company allows people, the average person, where maybe only 1% of the most elite, would be able to do it in terms of purchasing gold
Right.
on a regular basis. This company allows anyone to be able to purchase gold at an affordable cost, and also to build that same generational wealth and legacy for their family, as opposed to keeping their money in a depreciating asset, which is
Which is
called
the
the
bad.
dollar. The banking system in the dollar.
Right. Okay. So tell us about Project Resiliency and how that came about and what it's doing now. And I know you have a few challenges coming up, but tell us about the inception of
Right.
Project Resiliency.
So, and actually, this goes back. So, 2009, I broke 2 legs. Went through a
Oh
process
wow, sorry to
where,
hear that.
yeah, it was my life defining moment where it was like my moment where it was like, okay, God's talking to me and He's trying to download some things into me, and He needs me to be still. So I was actually home for a year with 2 broken legs, 5 months apart from each other, and I began to ask God and question what my purpose was. And long story short, my purpose became building an organization to support and sustain women in terms of their resiliency and their self-care. Fast forward, because I was going through so much to try and rebuild my own self-care and resiliency after that experience. And so I went through a lot of holistic healing and wellness programs, and try to find and seek things out. But there wasn't a lot of spaces that really looked like me, that I could identify with, that really dealt with my own holistic wellness journey as a woman of color specifically as well. So God was like, you need to create it. So,
Okay.
after going through trying to find it, it was like, okay, I can find it at, something that represented me and my narrative, and where I could find that sense of healing and wellness and safety. And so God was like, yeah, it doesn't exist because you need to create it. And
Okay.
so the challenge in 2016 was after I was actually getting ready to work on my dissertation, and God just got approved for my topic. He paused me and said, okay, tell him you're not coming back, and it's indefinitely. And then I need you to launch what I gave you in 2009, based on your experience, because there's women that need it right now. And so he challenged me to launch a conference, and I was given that directive in like the summer of 2016. By the fall, he was like, I need you to launch a conference. And he said, I've connected you to women all through the year that are going to help you to launch the conference. They're going to be a panel speakers. They're going to be a workshop presenters. So I went back to every woman that I met that year, and they all said, yes, we just don't want you want to be the speakers at the event. We want to help you plan it. Everybody said yes. So that became my team, and then they helped me to kind of launch this thing in like less than 3 months and get it off the ground. And it was amazing. We didn't have enough Kleenexes in the room, enough tissues. People were kind of like letting go of things that they'd held on to for so long. So many broken women that were really finding healing in that space, and people came in as strangers and were like hugging other people that they had met before. It was just such a healing space and moment that you can't. It probably will never happen again like that, but it was just one of those moments that was just a moment. And that kind of like launching a and people come to me afterwards and said, I thought I was just going to be doing this conference maybe once a year. People come to me afterwards and say, what's next? What are you going to do next? Okay, so what is the next event, and how do we support you? And you got to do more events like this. It can't be a year. You've got to do a series of events. So they challenged me basically to create a movement with a series of ongoing activities. So we do forum activities throughout the year. We do some type of bigger, larger conference event at least once a year. We do what's called resiliency circles, where we come together during the summer months, usually at a park or somewhere, some open door outdoor space, because of course that's also like self-care. It's like coming into healing spaces of being outdoors and reconnecting with nature. So, and we have conversations about what it's like to be a woman of color mainly, and what it's like to find healing in those spaces. Last year our theme was, for instance, where do women of color go to cry? So we talked about crying and different types of cries, and how crying is okay, and and how crying is purging, and how you need to purge things through crying. That was like one of our topics, for instance. So, and those are things that are not necessarily talked about. They're taboo topics, largely for us. We talk about the importance of just mental health and wellness. We're doing a campaign right now that we do every year in May because it's
Mhm.
Mental Health Awareness Month right
Right.
now. And it's called the Strong Woman Needs Support the Most campaign. And we
Mhm.
do it for a month-long campaign. And every day of the month of May, we do something, an activity. We do virtual talks,
Mhm.
doing something to bring awareness. We have campaign gear.
Mhm.
We're doing a lot of, my board does like a lot of interviewing. Where we actually talk with other women. We actually, normally outside of quarantine, we would actually have activities where people would gather and have kind of like dialogue or topics related to being the strong woman and what that means related to your mental health. But it's amazing. It's been an amazing journey just to connect with women, to find insight. I'm learning so much more from the women I'm connecting with, and they're probably even learning from me. But
Right.
I found so much healing with it for myself while trying to support others healing. And
Right.
so there's such a benefit to the work, and it's something that's a passion. That's been, from a place of passion for me, and
Mhm.
that it's just been an amazing journey. I've been able to write books. I've been able to be a motivational speaker based on starting and launching and just leaping. There's been so many offsets and offshoots. I've been able to partner with a lot of great other organizations and nonprofits. I've had foundations reach out to me and say, "Hey, there's nobody doing the work you're doing."
Mhm.
And so we want to learn more about you, and how you do it and how we
Mhm.
can support you. So it's just been so many offshoots and so many great things that happened based on me leaping,
Right.
at
So
risk.
I like two things that I want to touch on that you talked about. Having your first event, right? And
Yes.
at the end of the event, people coming up to you and saying, "What's next?" And asking you, "Can you do this? We'd like to continue in this facet." So I think one of the most pertinent things as an entrepreneur is learning to listen,
Yes.
because you sell through listening. And if you're
Yes.
not listening to what your clients are telling you, or your potential clients are asking you or telling you that they want, then you're creating stuff for yourself and not for them. But if you're
Absolutely.
listening to them, and because they usually tell you what it is that they want from you, and
Right.
if you create for their needs, you're always going to have clientele.
Yes. And so one of the things that we've done, and actually this all happened by chance. We've been able to work with like Dr. Sade Davis. She's a phenomenal communications professor at UConn. And so
Mhm.
she's come aboard to utilize Project Resiliency as her case study. She's
Mhm.
focusing on what happens when women of color gather into spaces of
Mhm.
healing and wellness. So it's a perfect connectivity to the work that we're doing. And so she supports us in terms of providing, and doing that evaluation process while we're doing our activities to
Right.
gain that insight from folks that come to our events, and we'll use that to drive what we do next.
Right, and
Use that
that's the way it's
information to
supposed to
drive.
be.
Yeah,
You're
so
supposed to
so
use
right.
your feedback to drive your next steps. And
Exactly.
I
So we
want
use a
all
lot of that feedback.
entrepreneurs or who are listening right now to understand that that is the way how you build your business, is that you have
Yeah.
to listen to what your clients are saying,
Right.
when whether they're saying it overtly or subliminally, right? You
So
have to
we
listen
say we
and
love we
create
love quantitative as well as qualitative
things.
data. We love
Exactly.
what people are saying, in terms
Yes.
of their perceptions and their experiences, just
Yeah.
as much as the actual, the numbers for the quantifiable things as well.
Right.
And one of the things that I've actually been able to do is grow and expand the other side of the work that I do, my consulting work. So before doing Project Resiliency Movement, I wasn't trained in being a resiliency and wellness coach, but I had to become trained in being a resiliency and wellness coach because it was a need for it based on the events
Right.
that we had created. So people
Exactly.
are saying, "Hey, can you guide me through how to do what we talked about here in this activity or this
Mhm.
event? Do you do one-on-ones? Do you,
Mhm.
based on your experiences, can you guide me through how you did what
Right.
you did?" So it's like, okay, that means that forced me to have to up my game and say, okay, now I have to get trained in,
Training. Yep.
I say formal training, so then I can actually be ready to guide people
Right.
through
So
this
that you can actually be
process.
an expert in what you're doing in
Exactly.
your industry.
You do.
And the
Just
second thing I wanted to touch on when we talked about Project Strong Woman, is that what it's called, right?
a strong woman needs support the most campaign.
Okay.
Yes.
Strong Women Need Support the Most campaign. And that is pivotal to me because people consider me a strong woman, right? They're like, oh my God, you've been through so much. You're so strong. I don't know what I would do if I had to go through all the things, because I have a lot of medical issues, right? So they're like, I don't know what I would do if I had to go through that year after year after year, 14 surgeries in 8 years. That's
wow.
Like who does that? Like I would, people like, I couldn't handle all of that. So people tend to think that, okay, because I put on the facade, like, okay, everything is fine, right?
Yeah.
I don't wear my heart on my sleeve. I'm not that type of person. I'm not overly emotional, right? My only emotion usually is anger, not anything else. Like, I'm not a crying person. So when you talk about Black women cry and the different types of cry, I'm like, okay. But anyway, so people take it for granted that I'm okay.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
and that was always for me too. It was the thing. Yeah. So I was
on the inside
a strong person. Nobody ever asked, "Is Althea, are you okay?" And
right.
so that's one of the things that I actually challenged last year when we launched the campaign. I challenged everyone that was associated as far as the membership to ask the question, "Are you okay?" But then take the time to listen. And one of the things I asked them, I said to them was, "Don't ask the question if you don't have time to hear the answer."
Right.
You know
But
what I mean?
for me, I think too, you asking, "Are you okay?" is good, but I think you need to probably ask questions beyond, "Are you okay?" Because if you ask me if I'm okay, my answer is going to be, "Yeah, I'm fine."
But
that's my default answer.
I was making, Tracy, is that unless you have time to ask the follow-up questions,
right? Okay.
that give you the really true answer if somebody's okay, then don't go there. You know what I mean?
Right.
Because you know what I mean. Like if you're asking somebody if they're okay, you really need to be prepared to really dig a little deeper. Yeah, to really find out how they're doing. And let them know that you really care about the fact of how they're doing. It's not just a passing kind of casual just greeting,
right.
Yeah
small talk.
Exactly.
Hey, you okay?
No, really, what does your okay look like? Like
exactly, what does okay look like? If you really have a gut feeling, right? If you have a gut feeling that, okay, my energy seems to be a bit off today, even if I say I'm okay, if you know me, you'll know that I'm not okay. So what's your next question?
So that's one of the things that we talk about as far as the Strong Woman campaign, is that you have to have accountability partners. You have to have people that know you, that know you, that know you and understand that if you're off, they'll know you enough to know if you're off and ask you that question, and really are able to be in a position where they can dig a little deeper with you, because they have a relationship, a trusting factor relationship with you, where they can actually be honest with you in that way and say, hey, I'm not quite sure if you're okay. I really have a sense that something's going on. So, what does your okay look like right now?
Right. And so I'm going to touch on something that's kind of sensitive, to maybe sensitive to the audience. But one of the things I like about the fact that you have this movement is that Black women's issues and white women's issues are different issues, or women of color, period.
Yeah.
Our issues, yes, we're all women and we have some fundamental issues that we all share. But in the grand scheme of things, the things that we go through as women of color, as Black women, because women of color and Black women are two different things too, as far as I am concerned. But it's different, and there needs to be a space where other people who are like you understand what you are going through, because what you're going through is uniquely different from someone who's non-Black is going through.
So I talk about the fact that our narratives are very different, and there's things that are spaces of healing or historical. From a historical perspective, we're bringing different things to the table historically, from a historical perspective, around trauma that that has led us to this point where we are right now, as and as women of color, and also specifically as Black women. You know what I mean? So that we talk about why when we talk about why self-care isn't prevalent in the Black community, or or with women. We talk about from a historical lens why it's more something that's common to our Caucasian, to Caucasian women, that it's okay for them to actually have self-care as a lifestyle. It's embedded. It's embedded in them. They're encouraged to care for self.
Right.
And as we're encouraged to be the nurturers and caretakers, because that's who we were from slavery time.
Right.
Ridiculous. You know what I mean? So it's like that's always continued, even going forward. That's been our role, is that we can self-sacrifice and care for everyone else around you. That's been our narrative.
Yeah. Yeah, so I agree. And that's one of the reasons why I think that the space that you've created is pivotal to the transformation of the women in our community.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, what would be the top three things that you would tell a budding entrepreneur, someone who has a side hustle and a full-time job, about getting into entrepreneurship? And then give me three things that you would tell any woman right now to do when it comes to self-care or mental health.
I think what I would tell anybody that's looking to make this leap is you have to be prepared to adopt and adapt.
Very true.
Okay. It's going to be adopting some new waves of thoughts. For many of us, we're consumers,
Mhm.
and definitely not producers. So it's a different wave of thinking when you're a producer versus
Right.
a consumer. You're consuming things and that other people are doing as
Mhm.
entrepreneurs. But it's changing your mindset. It's a total mindset shift. So you have to adopt a producer mindset. What can I
Mhm.
produce that is a current need? So I've had to put even my business for quarantine. I've had to change some of the things that I'm producing. So
Right.
I mean, I'm actually doing more of my healing and wellness component of the work that
Yeah.
I'm doing. And that's been a need more so during quarantine. More people are asking for resiliency coaching.
Right.
So that part of the work that I'm doing is more of a need right now.
Mhm.
I'm making sea moss. I've learned how to make something new
Yeah,
during
I saw
quarantine.
that on your page the other day. What's that
Yes.
about?
And so, because I've learned a new skill, I
Mhm.
figured somebody might be able to actually utilize what I'm making because it's something that helps your immunity. Immunity right now,
Oh,
even your respiratory immunity, it's something that it has
but it's
like
in a gel form, correct?
it's in gel, yeah, and you add it to smoothies and sauces and everything else.
I have
So
never
because
seen that before.
I've learned a new skill, and
Oh,
that is a
wow.
benefit to people right now based on the pandemic and what's happening. Hey, and it's something that I'm utilizing. It is
Mhm.
something that you might want to utilize too to make sure that your
Right.
immunity levels and wellness are up. And people are saying, "Yeah, I need that." You know what I mean?
Okay.
So because you're always kind of thinking and adapting,
Mhm.
okay, to the current climate and need. That's one thing that you have to adapt that whole mindset of being a producer and what can I
Mhm.
produce to meet the current climate and need of what's happening for my customers. So right
Right.
now you have a need to keep your immunity levels up and to be resilient.
Right.
So that's a part of my business that I'm focusing on and
Mhm.
honing on right now. And I can't meet with them in person, but I can stream. I
Mhm.
can live stream with them. I can do Zooms. I can
Mhm.
do calls. I can do calls as a group or individuals. So
Mhm.
that adapting and adapting is huge.
Mhm.
Um, that's one thing I would say. And also just kind of give yourself grace. Um, is what I probably would say as well.
Mhm.
Giving yourself grace, understanding that when you launch and make that leap, everything's not going to pan out maybe how you've mapped it out, the roadmap or the business plan you've created for yourself of how things will roll out in your
Yep.
6 months, your first year, how you would envision it. My first year was nothing like I envisioned based on my business plan. Nothing flowed
Yeah.
smoothly. Nothing went exactly the way I mapped it out, but I
Mhm.
gave myself grace. I
Mhm.
went into this saying, hey, it's your first year. You're just going to have to roll with the punches and give yourself grace. And guess what? If you make it through your first year and you're still up and running, give
Mhm.
yourself grace and be thankful for the fact that you're still able to function and you've made it through your first year. So, like going to it with an understanding that you have a plan, but the plan is subject to change based on whatever's happening, whatever circumstance, life or otherwise, is kind of happening around you. You have to give yourself that grace.
Yep.
And
So someone says adapting to the times, I think, is a major part of running your business.
yes,
And Raymond, who's going to be my guest on Friday, she's saying, oh, yes, because she has a business where she has had to totally pivot in order
yes,
to stay alive and give the customers what they need in
you
this
you
time.
have to be
Yeah.
willing to do that. Otherwise, you're going to lose business. And
Mhm.
you have to listen to your customers in terms of what they're needing in
Yep.
certain times too. So I've
Mhm.
actually gotten great feedback from my customers
Mhm.
over the last couple of weeks because I've had time, during
Right.
quarantine to really dig deep and to find out, okay, what do you currently need right now, and
Mhm.
creating packages and creating products or services that I can deliver to them based on whatever's happening right now for them in quarantine. And I've even delivered a whole quarantine talk, where I come on live once a week just to have conversations with folks out there. And I've had folks inbox me based on that saying, hey, do you do services where you help people to get through quarantine? Yes, I do. So it's like you're finding new ways. Whereas I probably wouldn't do a lot of lives before, because I have a standing show that I do on WTNH, and I have other mediums that I reach people at on a different basis. But hey, quarantine is affording me the time. And allows me the opportunity to pivot and a platform that I can take advantage of to still
exactly.
So just kind of learning to adapt, and of course give yourself grace is the three things that I would say.
Right. And what would you say for women who are going through a tough time right now?
So if I think your resiliency is huge right now. I think resiliency is just one of those things that is such a big thing for individuals, and I think for me it's finding your level of norm and what can you control. So I think you have control over what happens in your home. You have control over how things happen in your home, what you do with your time in quarantine right now. And those are the conversations I'm kind of having when I do my lives. Those are the things you have control over. What you do in your home, how things happen in your home, and kind of like how you manage your household in the midst of what's happening externally. So if you focus so much on what's happening externally, it then has a reactive back.
It does. It stresses you out.
I flipped it. I put more of my focus in terms of what happens in my home and how I'm managing my home better. And whatever is happening in the world, I don't have that level of control over what's happening externally or environmentally. I can't control that, but I can control what I do with my time. So I've been doing things from scratch, making things from scratch that are beneficial to my health and wellness, to my family's health and wellness, to building our immunity levels up. I can control how I interact and spend time with my clients, making sure that they're good, they have their needs supported. I can control what I do with my household. I've been given time to purge things that I didn't have time to purge, and get rid of things, physically, mentally, emotionally, doing a lot of journaling. So I can control all of those things. I don't have control over what's happening with this pandemic, and me worrying about it, that is not going to make it go away or make me better in the midst of it. I just have control over what I do to be preventative. So I don't necessarily make myself or put myself in a position to have that. You know what I mean? So that's it. So I said, I would say, understand what you have control over. You have control over what you have control over is one of the things.
Exactly. And my mom used to say, learn to accept the things you cannot control. Wait, how does it go? Accept the things that you can't control and let go of the things that whatever. You know what I'm saying? You guys know what I'm saying. But I always tell people that I wish I had listened to that because it would have saved me a lot of heartache. But I was a control freak and I wanted to control everything.
What do you think about the quarantine? Aren't you worried about getting? No, because I'm worried. The only thing I am concerned about are the things I can control. I can't control COVID. I can't control Corona.
Right. All right. Well, Althea, thank you for being here with us today. Tell people how they can get in contact with you before we leave.
Sure. So I guess for social media, I'm accessible on Instagram, Twitter, and on Facebook. I have a Project Resiliency Movement Instagram page. I have a ProjRes Movement Twitter page at ProjRes PROJRES Movement. On Twitter, and then I have a Project Resiliency Movement page on Facebook. And of course, I have a Bates Consulting page on Facebook. There is also groups that I've created. So we have a Resiliency Circle group, and that's tied to a lot of the activities that we do as a smaller groups and circles where we gather women. But we do have an interactive group that we meet with. We meet online when we can't interact in person. It's called Resiliency Circle. And I also have a campaign page for the Strong Woman Needs Support the Most campaign. There's a campaign page so you can follow all the activities of the campaign. In addition to that, you can access me for services. My website is www.abatesconsultinggroup.org. Yes, so that's www.abatesconsultinggroup.org. In addition to that, if you need to access me via email, it's abatesconsulting@gmail.com.
Okay, awesome. Thank you so much for being our guest this morning on Morning Tea. And everyone, I will see you tomorrow where we have Nikki Brooks, recording artist, as our guest. So tune in tomorrow at 6 a.m. sharp Eastern Standard Time for another episode of Morning Tea. Have a great day, everyone.
Take care, everyone. Have a great one.